even just the general public.
All right. Well, go ahead and call the meeting to order. Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes of the previous meeting.
Sir. Move to approve.
All right, we have, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Okay, finance report's in there. You got any questions for Robert, or?
Nothing out of the ordinary in the finances.
Okay. Hearing none, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Next, we'll move on to the coordinator's report.
For business visits this month, I met with Johnson's General Store. They're going to be opening up at 211 West Main. I talked to them about some of the programs that we have. But they have a very similar model to Smiling Moose, so they sell artisanal crafts and are also looking to open up a coffee shop. I also help them with some guidance on their written business plan. I've been in frequent conversation with Chaotic Good Brewing for their loan application. I've also talked to a local business who's looking for a new site in town, but is not yet to be ready to be named publicly. And I fielded a couple calls from a business that refurbishes antique cameras, and they're looking for a small showroom space / mixed use so they could live in the building as well. And then I spoke with a butcher operation who was originally looking at the Culligan's building, which didn't work out zoning-wise, but they're still interested in finding something that works in town. And then finally, I've been talking with the Baymont a lot. We finally submitted our application to deed for the Main Street Revitalization Program, and that got in on Monday the 21st. Update on the Hamilton project. So all of the tax abatement requests have been approved, or the school has tentatively been approved. They're going to be holding a public hearing here soon. And we've had a planning meeting with the city staff and then the Hamilton planning team. But things are looking like they may shape up that we'll see development start in July or August here. So there's still some hurdles to overcome, but things are looking positive there. School update. They still have not closed on the school with the developer. It sounds like there's some more legal hurdles to overcome. But I've had a couple calls with him on his request for TIF. And so he's prepared as soon as he's able to close on the building to bring that request forward. On the 8th, some of the county staff and the community ed director, we all got together to talk about childcare. We're going to talk about that at length later on the agenda here, so I'll leave that. The Downtown Improvement Task Force met a couple times this month to finalize the details on the March 12th event. Those details are now public, so the event is March 12th, running from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. But there are a couple businesses that are having offerings in the morning, which the flyer's in your packet there that lists those. It's Country Pleasures and Trail Creek Coffee Roasters. And then our EDA EAA grant application, we're shaping up to get submitted by March 11th. It is from the grants department now on my plate, and I just have to make room for the things that I need to complete and get that in. And then no updates on the Transit Committee for Southeast Minnesota, and then the Impact Hub. Have had some side conversations, but no real development on that project.
Okay.
Questions?
Move on to the city administrator's report, which is in the packet.
Not a lot of other things to highlight. Like Robert said, we're having a meeting with the Hamilton folks and figuring out the financing for all the different projects this year. State budget numbers were released yesterday, and most of you probably saw that in the local news. The surplus is substantial, so they're looking at different ways to spend that money, and hopefully they'll give some of it back to the taxpayers. But we think that the LGA and our financial numbers should be pretty good for this year. So.
All right, thank you. Up next is your Chaotic Good Brewing Company loan application.
Maybe I'll let one of the loan committee members lead that.
Well, we met yesterday to go over the loan, and everything looked like it was met our criteria for it, and we had discussed it, and we had made a motion or recommendation to bring it forward to the whole board, and then you kind of have all the terms that we had.
Yes, so they're making a recommendation to move forward with a $50,000 loan and a 10-year fully amortized schedule with an interest rate equal to the U.S. prime rate, which is 3.25%. I did check that in our program. And then they are asking for collateral of the second mortgage position on the commercial property. And originally, we're also asking for a second position on the primary residence of the business owner. But I received the appraisal on the property this morning, and so it did appraise higher than he's paying for it. So we were working from tax assessed value on that property, and so would propose to remove the position on the primary residence.
Right. Yeah. At first, though, when we saw it, the numbers were like significant difference, so but with the appraisal, it makes more sense to
The
have it.
assessed value from the
Yeah.
county was a lot less than what he was gonna pay for it, so we hadn't seen an appraisal at
So-
that time.
Yeah, with the information we had. So,
What did it appraise at?
253.
Oh, okay.
And he's paying,
250.
okay, so it's not significant.
no, but it's better than
Yeah,
the tax value that we...
yeah, the tax value was under 200, so that'll go up as soon as he buys it.
Right, and renovates and...
And it'll bring in more taxes to
Yep.
the city.
So, yeah, that was the recommendation that we, I don't know if there's any other discussions or questions or
No, I'll move to approve.
motion, do we,
I'll second.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everybody. If you want to reach
Thank
out
you.
to them. Next up will be our proposal to purchase the parcel adjacent to the Vale property.
So the Realtor that is working with the property, there's about 36 acres directly adjacent to the Vale property, and they had originally come forward with a proposal for the city to buy the 36.5 acres, and came back with another proposal to look at the 8 acres that is directly adjacent to the area that's earmarked as park. I didn't see a direct need for the land, but wanted to bring it forward for discussion if there is any interest in acquiring the 8 acres directly adjacent to the parkland. Right now, there's no access, so the farmer is getting there through driving out through the ditch.
I don't see any reason for, my personal opinion, I don't see any reason for the city to buy any more land unless we had an
No.
immediate use for it. I
Right,
can't
exactly.
see,
We're
if
not
somebody
in
wants,
business of,
if we develop the
Yeah.
park and the apartment complexes, and then there's a developer next door who sees that activity and wants to bring it in the city and develop something, they can do that.
Exactly. I agree.
Well, it's technically already in the city limits now, but...
Right,
Well,
we-
but
it's been,
if they want to develop it, that'd be their,
Right, prerogative.
Yep.
I mean, I think that was kind of the same conversation that Robert and I had. I mean, if there was a use for it, you know, maybe we would take a look at it.
I mean, it's nice they offer it
The
to
only
the
thing that
city
I
first,
thought
but
was,
that-
okay, if you offered him something really minimal and just farmed it in the meantime, I mean...
well, yeah, because looking at getting infrastructure to that property would,
Yeah, no, I mean, this wouldn't be used for foreseeable future, so...
yeah, so I'd say right now, thanks, but no thanks, like Chris
Yeah.
said.
Just out of curiosity, what's the offered price? Is that in here somewhere?
They didn't give us
There's
the
no
price on the
price.
8 acres, but the 36 acres, they were asking, I think, $310.
Hmm.
But the 8 acres, they just brought it forward and said, you know, if you're interested, make an offer.
I don't know, I stand by what, we shouldn't be buying land unless we have a specific use for it immediately.
right.
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, it's their realtor's job to try to
Yep.
find it.
Oh, and it's
Well, it
nice they
doesn't
offered it,
hurt, yeah.
nice they offered it to the
Exactly.
city first, that's awesome, but
Yeah,
we respectfully decline the offer. $1, but we don't want to be,
yeah.
No,
don't want to be disrespectful, but...
exactly.
I did ask them to donate it. I got it now.
Yeah.
Well, that's worth a shot.
Yeah, it's worth a shot, but not a good one.
It's worth a
Yeah.
shot. You can always ask, the worst you hear is no.
Yeah.
So, all right. Next, we'll move on to the Dodge County Child Care Initiative.
I'm curious to have some discussion on this. So I mentioned the county staff, their EDA folks, their environmental service director, and then the community ed director from the school district. And myself, we kind of got together and talked about the status of child care in the region. And I think we kind of landed at there's a gap, but there's some more analysis needed to figure out the specific levels of childcare. And the community ed director is very much of the thought that the region would not be able to support an additional childcare center in town. But I'm curious if you all have heard anything different or your perspective on this topic around childcare.
I mean, I've got a baby, right? And I think especially for like infant care, there tends to be a waiting list. Now, given that, I think since COVID, it's been, I don't know, the dynamics around childcare are kind of strange. It's a strange environment right now. So, I don't know. So that's tricky, I guess, to navigate. I think when it comes to feasibility of childcare centers, it's really hard to. There's a piece of it that's difficult to measure in that you don't know how many people are staying home because they can't find childcare, but you also don't know, or doing like the placing with another family. You can do like, you can watch one child or like one family's children without being a child care center. So anyway, some of those things are just, they're difficult to figure out, but also when you start getting into ratios of staffing to like infants, because infants tend to be the hardest. It's just the staffing ratios are challenging to cash flow. And so you end up needing, in order for it to cash flow, you end up needing kind of a waiting list environment in order to be able to just make it work to keep up with some of the regulatory costs you have to stay on top of. So, I don't know. I just know, like, right now, kind of a strange environment. Like, we, like for us, like our family, like we're, like we've kind of talked, like until there's like a better, like you can't, you're not really supposed to like vaccinate a baby, right, with COVID stuff. So like, and then you start getting into like COVID exposures, shutting down. You have to take off work kind of unexpectedly. Just for us, it just makes more sense for my wife to be home. So, and some of it doesn't really have to do with like a waiting list or openings. It just has more to do with, trying to navigate an environment with like some of the realities of a pandemic.
I think most people that we come in contact with, if they want daycare, they can find daycare. Is it the most convenient right next door?
Right.
Not necessarily, but more so now than 5 years ago. 5 years ago, we heard a lot. We just can't find anything. We have to take somebody to the north side of Rochester, and we work at the clinic. Now, if you want daycare in Caston, I think you can find it. It's just a matter of convenience and schedule. The infant's always going to be a challenge, but
No matter what.
the centers, like you said, you can't build capacity and just hope everybody has enough infants to fill it, because you can't keep people so that.
And then you can't keep it open if you...
And we had two neighbors here that had babies this fall, and they both found a place for their infant within, a couple of weeks of looking. So there used to be, some people would have to start looking a year ahead of time. They're planning having a baby over the contingency of finding daycare first.
Get on a list, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Staffing issue is another big issue too. I mean, I think that might be even a bigger challenge than having the kids, because you could probably, I do see it as a pull factor. I mean, we wouldn't just be talking about Caston. If you were gonna build one here, it would be Manorville, Caston, all these communities, and I think the further west you go in Minnesota, the worse it gets in terms of the shortages. The more rural areas are worse than it is in Caston.
You look at JLH and the nursery group that I'm familiar with, constantly looking for people to
Yeah,
work.
just a lot of staff
It's
turnover.
nonstop. There's continuous churn. There's a lot of reasons for that.
Exactly.
But, you have to charge for daycare, but everybody wants the workers to make more, but yet they don't want to pay more for daycare. There's a...
Right.
Give and take.
Yeah. So I would agree with what these numbers are saying. We have capacity, it's just a matter of finding the one you want.
Yeah.
Well, and two, I come from the retail, or the private industry as far as daycare in their homes, which I consider daycare, where we have gone to, I think, more institutionalized childcare. And, you know, I think that sometimes when you put government funding and support behind the larger, you actually take away somebody's livelihood that they would have had in their home, and that some people actually prefer. They're not necessarily interested in, okay, my child knows his ABCs, he's 18 months, all righty.
And that's why I like these numbers too, that there's actually more licensed capacity in the in-home
Yeah.
versus the centers at 320. That was kind of surprising me when I read that last night, so.
Yeah.
I think it just shows what people want. You know, some people want that bigger setting, so you've got, it's easier on your schedule, because if the in-home daycare person says, hey, I'm taking 2 weeks vacation in July, you have no daycare.
You are taking it, yeah.
Where the center, they've
Yeah.
got staff that can cover part-time people. So it's just a matter of what the people want, and I
Yeah.
think this speaks to what they want. So it's a good balance, and I think there's availability.
Yeah, I do too.
And that was the concern of the community ed director as well, is not wanting to impact in-home providers.
Yep.
I think the county, though, is seeing a larger, like, they're thinking
Sure.
about the entire county, and I think they're focusing in on Casson, because of the Plaza 57, they're offering this incentive to get a childcare center there. And so I think the question comes is, would it be a big enough draw that people are going to drive from the western part of the state, or the county, to bring to a center here? And is it more of
I
a
don't-
negative to go for a...
I don't think they would drive from too far out because of the price of driving and
Depends
time.
on where they're working.
Well, it depends on where they're working. If they're on their way to Rochester,
It's a
yes.
natural spot.
But if they have to come here and then go back,
As far as what, I mean, the study tells us, if somebody privately wants to put a childcare center in Plaza 57, we're not gonna tell them no, but I don't think we need to subsidize as a city. Seeing the numbers for the city that we have here with the balance we have,
I don't think...
private business can build a private business if they wanna do it. We're not gonna tell them they
Pretty soon
can't.
we'll be subsidizing accountants,
Right, and so I would say the message would be, build it if you want to, but
yeah.
we aren't necessarily interested in
Was there really an
incentivizing it.
ask? I don't think there really was an ask for subsidies, was there?
No, there's no ask for subsidies.
Okay.
Plaza 57 is providing a
Right,
subsidy.
I didn't know if they were gonna be asking the city as well.
No, I don't think
I mean-
so. No, it's more, this is more of the county's initiative. I was just invited as part of the
Okay.
conversation.
I mean, I'll be interested to see, they got their next meeting on the 18th of March, and it'll be interesting to see what the public says. You know, that's always what you want to know, is, you know, if there's a
Right.
bunch of people that come and say, hey, I need childcare, then obviously that's a better guidance than, you know.
Well, there's not an actual request into the county yet, right? It's just at the staff level, right? This is just discussion.
I think,
It looks like there's a community.
I guess, yeah,
This is from 2019.
so when I was growing up in Casson, in grade school, my mom had an in-home care center in our house, and, care center, daycare. And, I guess I mean, if we wanted to support some of the in-home stuff, you know, the cost of, keeping up with some of those, you know, just like the building requirements tend to be, can get to be, expensive, just with, mostly if you're in an older house and you're wanting to do it, you've gotta do a lot of work to like windows and things.
Fencing.
That'd be, yeah, fencing, that kinda, you know, that'd be, I mean, if we really, I don't know if we've got a deep desire to get into it, I'd say some kind of a thing geared towards incentivizing, you know, safety improvements for in-home daycares, but I just don't know that my opinion, it sounds like the market's doing its thing, I guess.
As
Yeah.
far as the homes, I mean, just speaking professionally, that there's a lot of advantages to the in-home daycares that maybe deduct things, that they deduct their fence or a part of it.
Percentage of the use.
Right. Yeah, you know what I'm getting at, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of advantages there too. I don't know if
That
that's
we
really
need to step
stopping
in.
anyone from doing an in-home daycare. Maybe it is in certain situations if they have a really old property, but I don't know if that's really stopping the people that are getting out of it that we know. It's just, they're just tired of the schedule. That's their big thing.
Yeah. 'Cause I know some people that do that in-home daycare, they're 12-hour days.
Long.
So, but that's,
Yeah, that's the choice, yep. So I don't know
Yeah.
if we're not interested in jumping in the pool
No.
on this one.
I'd say no.
No.
I'll stay engaged with the county's conversations, but just to know what they're up to.
Yep.
I mean, I will say at a chamber meeting 2 years ago, our superintendent said he had lots of people coming, wanting to send their children to Casson, wanted to move to Casson, but there was no daycare in Casson. And if we needed to get a daycare, and if we didn't get it, that the school would build it, which sent me immediately to the school board members to ask if that's where they were going to spend my tax dollars. And the two that I talked to said, no way.
No, it's all part
So,
of the ECA.
you know,
They're really about it
I
already,
think
mean.
it's private industry, and keep your nose out of it. That's what I think.
All right, there you go. We'll move on, excuse me, move on to welcoming new businesses to town.
So there's quite a few new businesses popping up between Johnson's General Store and the brewery gets up and running. There is Casson Car Care has the new owner, and in an ideal scenario, I think, to welcome them to town, they would, be chamber members and do ribbon cutting. But not all of them are chamber members.
You do not need to be a chamber member to have a ribbon cutting. So we just need to know that they're there. Yeah, we changed that, about a year and a half ago. 'Cause
It's a way to invite them to be a member.
yeah,
No,
we
exactly.
want them, we're happy they're in town. It'd be great if they're a chamber member, but,
Still welcome to
we
town.
still want them to be in town,
Yeah.
right? Like, if, that's better than, not being in town at all.
Mhm.
So do mention that we would love to do a ribbon cutting. We try and, group them together, just 'cause, you kinda have to, you gotta pull out the giant scissors and do some running around, so we try to clump them, and usually January, February are unpopular. Yeah, they're real scissors. They look like something out of Kingdom Hearts.
They cut paper.
Yeah, they're for real. So, anyways, but do pass that along, 'cause we, especially as it's warming up, we'll try and do more. It's just they're miserable to do in January.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's good to know. But I was bringing up a discussion on, if the EDA wants to participate in some form. So in other cities, we've designated maybe one visit a month, where as many folks as possible that can make it have, gone to the business, coordinated local media, did a nice little photo op as just a nice welcome. And we've rotated through existing businesses before. So, one of the priorities is to elevate the EDA in the community, and we can only do that if we get out in the community, right? Obviously, they've all met with me, but I think that they take a lot of, they enjoy seeing, a large group of folks that are appointed representatives show up to their business. I'm curious if there's interest here for that.
Well, after April 17th, I'll have more available time.
And the other question is, some of those businesses, are they interested in it? Do you know? I mean, do they want the EDA to come there? Do they want, I don't know. I mean, I would think they would, but.
That's part of the process. You say, hey, we're willing to do this. Would you like us to, could we stop by this day? And if they don't want to, they'll say no.
Sure.
Yeah. Or
At least you reached out.
Yeah.
reaching out, I think, is the
To start.
most important.
And if they get a reach out from EDA and a reach out from the chamber, both, that just reinforces that they're valued in town.
Or it's just a good neighborly thing to do.
Yeah, there you go.
Somebody new comes to town, stop in and say hello and introduce yourself, and I have a business on Main Street as well. If there's anything you need or questions, reach out.
Can we get official-looking City of Casson polos or something? So we look like we
It's not in
belong?
the budget.
No.
If you wanna pay for
You
it.
can make whatever you want.
Just had to ask the question.
I'll do some knitting.
So they know who's showing
Maybe,
up.
it's, potentially you could coordinate it with the ribbon cutting at the same time to have the EDA there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Then you'd have the,
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we'd like that.
Can you do double duty? Chamber and EDA member?
Sure you
Your two
can.
polos?
Right, yeah, I'll have
He'll get
to.
the
Just throw them together.
Time,
Yeah.
triple duty, right? It's
Yeah.
good stuff.
A
See?
hat and a polo. We'll
Yeah.
go with EDA hat,
Right.
chamber polo.
But, yeah, no, I think
I-
we'd be, I think we'd be happy to do that.
But part of it's just communication though, like the
Yep.
Johnson Family General Store here, like, I haven't seen anything on Facebook about it or anything like that. I don't know how people are communicating their business out, and So if somebody doesn't even know it's there, or Cass and Car Care, like, I know that they're taking over, and they're gonna be doing sales, but I haven't seen any kind
Well,
of
Johnson
advertising
just
yet.
started, they
Sure,
closed,
I'm just saying,
closed down their other business, they wanted a store.
part of it is just
so they-
communication, is like, do people even know that this is a new business opening?
Exactly.
Okay, where is Cass and Car Care?
Straight in, when you come in on
14.
14.
Right on the
Right
corner.
ahead,
Right on the
back
corner by Subway?
Right behind Subway.
Like, when you're-
Oh,
yeah, you're
you
coming,
mean on Highway 57?
Yeah, on the corner
when
there.
you're coming in on,
Right across from Jan and the
The big-
Rockies?
No, no.
Oh, not that
Towing
one.
company.
That's towing company.
The one's by Subway here,
Behind
right?
Subway, to the south of Subway.
Oh, not on 57.
No, it's
You get to it from first, right on the back
Yeah,
side.
okay,
Yeah.
back there in the corner.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Shed, yeah.
Oh, where they used to do, what, they still do towing?
No, they don't do towing.
They could
but
towing, unless
do
the new
oil
owner
changes,
does.
But now, I mean, it's Byron Auto Sales.
Byron
that's
Auto
buying,
bought
right?
them.
Yeah.
they,
Byron Auto Sales.
Mechanic
is
shop.
Selling cars out
Okay.
there now, too.
Yeah.
Oh, so
they're-
it's
they're gonna have a lot.
actually mechanics.
well, and they're,
Yeah,
they're
Car
doing,
Care was mechanic and towing.
yeah, and
They
they're,
got out of towing.
yeah, they got out of towing, 'cause I mean, the hours of towing are just, it's a lifestyle more than a job, you know, it's,
Yeah.
but they, anyways, but they're doing, so they were doing towing mechanics, now I think they're gonna be doing more mechanic and sales,
Okay.
so. Yeah, but yeah, you
So
kinda,
I think, sorry.
you stare right at
I
them
think
as you
that
come in.
is a good idea, Robert.
No,
Like,
it's on that
Yes.
And
corner.
if we can coordinate it with the
Diverge into something
chamber,
else, but yes, that's a very good idea.
you know,
But the cadence is, we want to look at one business a month, is that right?
yeah.
Well,
Or
it-
more?
Or more, I mean, if it,
Well, it depends on how many.
Well, the way we do it, at the chamber is, we, like I said, we kinda try and clump some together, just 'cause if you're already going out and doing it, it's easier to just go we schedule them, and we get them kind of in 30-minute increments. We go one to the next, and we do Facebook Live, and we usually it seems like we usually get a posse of maybe 4 or 5 of us that go during each of the visits. We want it to grow and be more, but we'll schedule probably, we try to do, you know, between 4 to 6 at a time. And we also tend to do it on, we try to time it also with our Shop Local Fridays.
Yeah, it's usually on Fridays.
So it's it's like the first Friday of the month in the morning, and we usually do them, I've kind of been going with more of a quarterly schedule, just 'cause we don't, if we get to a point where we have 6 new businesses in town every month, I guess that'll be phenomenal. But so far, quarterly's been sufficient.
Well, it's easier to schedule, because it's tough to
Yep.
schedule a whole morning with no appointments
Yep.
to do a ribbon cutting every half hour for 3 hours. That basically, you gotta, those of us that are running the business, we gotta take
Yep.
those
We
3
have
hours
that
off.
many new businesses all the time. Where are the old businesses going? Because there's.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah, so I mean, if, you know, and it's like, some people will make one, right, and that's
Yeah.
cool. You know, if they make 2, or all, you know, like, I plan to do all of them, you know, like, just, I figure that's just part of, you know, being the chamber guy, right, so. You
And
just,
when it's the bakery and the ice cream parlor and a couple of the other ones, they're a little easier to make.
right, then you start getting
know.
Tim at all of them, you know, so,
I did pretty good that day. I think I hit all 3 of them.
yeah, I know. But, anyway, so that's kinda what we do, though, you know, I don't think it's not like we didn't adopt that into our bylaws or anything, you know, we're just kinda doing it that way.
Well, why don't you guys coordinate the next time you're gonna schedule one and get with Robert, and
Yeah,
then we can...
I think we're planning on April for the next round, and then, but, yeah, and sometimes it's not like the very first week that they're open. You know, we played some catch-up just after we had all the COVID shutdowns. We kinda did anybody that was new in the during COVID, pretty much, and played catch-up. You know, so sometimes they've been around for a month, but they usually are still happy that we're coming.
All right, let's coordinate.
All right, that's a good idea. Excuse me. And then get your Castle Solar Garden project.
Well, I don't know, Robert, you wanted to put on the agenda, but, just an update that, we are looking at. There's some property the city owns that's, north of the sewer plant that they're contemplating possibly looking at doing some solar in that area. There's a couple different components to it. There's some cost factors too, but, I don't know. EDA is a place just to get feedback, and if there's any feedback on that, but it's not gonna be a huge project necessarily. There's a couple options. We could do a 20-acre one behind the sewer plant, or we could do a smaller one kind of adjoining the Public Works building, and try to make it revenue neutral. That's the trick, if we do it ourselves, and if we just lease the property out, then we'd be getting the payments like anybody else would for the leases of the property. So, I don't know if, that big project's going southeast of town, but I don't know if we wanna let that stop us from taking a look at it. Right now, we're not getting any revenue off any of the property, so, just an FYI.
Then we got other business. Is there anything we need to add, or? Okay.
Can I ask, back to the corner business across from State Farm,
Yep.
are there any, city ordinances as far as how many vehicles you may have on your lot?
Not due to his, I'll let you
His
take it, but
zoning, he's in the, commercial industrial core area, so.
The only thing.
if he didn't have towing, there would be something,
Yes.
but since he has the towing license, he's within, we've looked at that
You've
multiple
looked
times.
at, as far as length of time, they
Yep.
can,
Yep, because some of it has to sit
Stay.
there for reports and
Yeah.
investigations, and the only thing maybe is the blockage of the sidewalk once in a while. I don't know if that,
I guess I haven't heard if he had any complaints about
No,
that.
I haven't had any complaints.
We haven't had that
That
complaint.
is something if the
We
sidewalk's
would
blocked
make
for
him move it if he was
time.
blocking the sidewalk.
Right.
I mean, and he's
He's
trying
trying.
too, he's moving some stuff off-site if he can find, but
Yeah.
unfortunately for him, business is good. So, like, as
Well-
far as numbers, I don't know how his financial bit, but there's a lot of,
Tows are, yeah.
well, it's
With
because
car care
other
not
towers
towing.
are not wanting to tow.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we certainly will continue to work with him to try and look at options for him, moving forward. I mean, I think long-term, that business site is probably not the most ideal for him either, 'cause I know he would like to expand. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that's definitely a conversation we'll be having with him over the next couple of years.
If
His
we
biggest
could
obstacle is cost of commercial.
find some acreage on
That's,
the
yep.
edge of whatever that
He would
be.
like to do that, it's just a
We have a couple
prospect.
businesses like that too. I mean, the trucking company on the north side across from the high school is a similar type of business that it's maybe not ideally located anymore, for its use, so
Mhm.
some of those things will be changing over the next couple of years, so.
I was gonna say, I have heard definitely that Quick Trip's going to be there.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we've been told, so,
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
Quick Trip
obviously, those
has
are kind
told
of
their
things we'd like to clean up
employees
over the
that.
next couple of
Yeah.
years.
And hopefully we can work with them to find property in town, or near.
Yeah,
I think it's already taken care of. Sure.
yeah.
Anyways, so definitely something to work on.
That's done.
One other thing I would mention, and people have mentioned it to me, and it's certainly not our responsibility to bring it up to the buyers, but people who are going to be building, living space by our elevator, do they know the after effects of harvesting corn?
Those little bees wings that'll be covering
Yes.
everything? I believe Hamilton,
They're probably apprised of that.
They're-
They were looking at this all fall, so they're well aware of it.
Okay. It just, I mean, yeah, I don't think, well, I don't know.
yeah, we're what, how many, 8, 10 blocks from there? When I come out in the fall, my car is
Your
completely
car's
covered,
covered
it's been
with
there
them,
for
yeah.
12 or 14 hours, so.
So,
But predominantly, the wind would be coming from the west, southwest, so that might help them a little bit. It'll still settle.
It's kinda like where I
That's the
work
selling
with
point,
now,
Dennis,
is I have
when
the
it comes
same
from the
effect.
southwest,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Well, you can hear those dryers run all night long.
Oh,
too,
yeah.
On a nice quiet night.
I mean, in Byron, which is great, they don't have that,
Right.
so. I'm
That's
thinking-
gonna be up to the building owner,
Yeah.
I mean, they know it's there,
Yeah,
and,
not our problem.
I think they do feel like they can, with screening, they can improve that situation. I mean, there will be screening on the north side of that property in the fall.
They can screen some of the noise, but I don't know.
I
Well, I
just
mean,
don't
with
want
screening, I
them,
mean, it's, you just
come
have
back
to
and
recognize
say-
that, I mean, people have got, right on the railroad tracks in Rochester,
Yep.
there's multi-million-dollar buildings that are sitting there, and there's a hum of the downtown all night long, too. So it's just a matter of what you're used to. If you're used to living in downtown Rochester or downtown Minneapolis, this is gonna be dang quiet for you.
well, Harrison.
Sure.
Less gunfire.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to be pushing the elevator someplace else, because...
No, I don't expect them to move, you know, I would
Anytime.
expect that's paid
No.
for, they're gonna keep that site going, so.
Yeah.
All right. So we got any items for April's meeting as of now? Potentially working with the ribbon cutting and that might...
Scheduling stuff, yep.
Scheduling, but other than that, if you think of anything, feel free to let Robert know. Other than that, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
That motion?
Second.
All in favor? All right. Opposed? Don't be opposed. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.